So thank you for joining us on the programme. Journalist Nabiosha Malik, thank you. Well, Ukraine's President Zelensky has said that martial law is being imposed in Ukraine and that Ukraine's military infrastructure is under attack. He earlier made an emotional appeal to the population of both countries and said that he tried to call President Putin, but no one answered him. Ukraine's foreign ministry, meanwhile, accuses Russia of unleashing a war against Ukraine. According to local reports, explosions can be heard across Ukraine. Residents say blasts have rocked the city of Kharkov, which is in the east. Explosions have also been reported in the area of Borisopol airport, which is near Kiev. And Ukrainian military command posts are reportedly coming under rocket attack as well. Meanwhile, the Russian Defense Ministry has denied all claims of rocket and air attacks on Ukrainian cities. A ministry spokesperson said that there are no threats to the civilian population in Ukraine, as high-precision weapons are incapacitating military infrastructure, including air defense facilities.
With accordance to the Article 51 in the 7th chapter of the UN Charter with the sanction of the Federation Council, and according to the Friendship and Mutual Help treaties with Donetsk and Lugansk republics, I have decided to conduct a special military operation. The goal is to protect the people who for 8 years suffer bullying and genocide from the Kiev regime. And for this we aim for the demilitarization and denazification of Ukraine. We'll bring to the court those who committed multiple sanguinary crimes against civilians, including Russian citizens. We do not plan to occupy Ukrainian territories.
In response to Russia's recognition of the Donbas republics, the EU sanctioned a number of individuals. These include Russian MPs who backed the decision and includes a number of other prominent Russian figures. Well, to discuss this further, joining me in the studio is our correspondent, Danny Armstrong. Danny, thanks for coming in this morning. Let's tell it how it is. I think we're all a little bit rattled by the headlines this morning. Tell us, what has the West done so far, and who's on the EU's sanction list? What are the implications of all this?
You'd be absolutely right by saying we are just a little bit rattled. I mean, that would be putting it lightly, perhaps. What we've seen is basically what we've seen over the past few months of the West promising sanctions and threatening sanctions to whatever Russia might do, and then following through with them. The EU drew up a package of sanctions against Russia that included 571 Russian entities. Of them, 351 State Duma deputies who voted in favour of the independence of the two regions, Lugansk and Donetsk. There's been asset freezes, travel bans, prohibition of making any kind of capital in the EU. There has been also restrictions put on the Russian government on their ability to raise any funds in the EU markets. Now, EU Chief Josep Borrell has said these sanctions have been drawn up and designed to hurt Russia. They're a little bit harder hitting than those promised by the US and the UK. It's targeting pretty much anyone who has a material connection to that support of the independence and the vote for independence of the two regions. We can expect more of the same, especially after President Putin's announcement of this special military operation in the Donbass. The finance ministers of the EU are expected to meet on Friday and Saturday. We can only guess what they would be thinking up in terms of more sanctions to be meted out to Russia. What is actually on the table, of course, would be the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline that runs from Russia under Ukraine and into Germany. Joe Biden, who has already signed a decree to bring in sanctions against Russia, has said that that is something he will put a stop to if Russia went ahead with anything that would like a military operation in Ukraine. The UK has said they will act decisively. As we've heard, Boris Johnson said that he would act decisively against any Russian movements. The people on those EU sanctions lists are quite prominent. There is the Sergei Shoigu, the defense minister, the foreign ministry spokesman Maria Zakharova, who has called those sanctions illegitimate. And last but not least, of course, Margarita Simeon, the editor-in-chief of RT. Lawyers for Margarita Simeon have said that any sanctions should not legally have anything to do with RT's right to broadcast. So that's what we've heard from the EU. The sanctions much harder hitting than the US and UK, but we're still to see more sanctions to come from the EU and, of course, the West as well.
Yeah, let's just focus on that Nord Stream 2 pipeline. Yesterday, we already knew that Germany had pulled the plug on it, and now more sanctions are being imposed on the company who built the Russian gas pipeline. The United States has terminated waivers and imposed more sanctions on the parent company and its top executives, and this was announced all Wednesday night. And of course, now these more high-profile Russian figures, including RT's editor-in-chief, of course, it makes you wonder, what's next? Who else could they impose sanctions on? President Putin himself would be like the ultimate target. So do you think we can expect a flood more sanctions against particular individuals and companies later today?
Well, the EU has, some EU members have been quoted as saying they want big bang sanctions against Russia. Again, this is very ominous. We can only guess what they mean by that. But there are people within the EU who have already sanctioned 27 high-profile Russian entities. That's one, incidentally, for every member state of the EU. After this announcement by President Putin, we would expect perhaps more sanctions, of course, from the West and the EU. What they would be is still up for debate. There have been some kind of toothless sanctions promised and carried out by the US. Of course, Joe Biden said he would target